8122. That's the Bloomberg Sports Update. I'm Joel Stern.
Sunday Brunch with Charlie Rose on Bloomberg Radio continues. And once again, here's Charlie Rose.
Charlie Savage is here. He is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and a Washington correspondent for the New York Times. His latest book is called Power Wars: Inside Obama's Post-9/11 Presidency. It is an in-depth look at the current administration's deliberations and actions on national security and counterterrorism. I am pleased to have him at this table for the first time. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So what's this about?
So this is a book about the Obama administration's legal policy deliberations. Obama is one of the most lawyerly presidents we've ever had. He's a lawyer himself, of course, as is Joe Biden, and they've surrounded themselves in policymaking roles with people who went through law school. And as a result, they have a very lawyerly way of looking at the world, a very lawyerly way of thinking about problems,
right,
both in attention to the law and as a way of breaking down problems. And their deliberations about these incredibly interesting dilemmas that have arisen in the sort of post-9/11 world are the focus of this book. I spent a couple years writing it. I talked to over 150 current and former administration officials. I gained access to many documents which are not public and still aren't public today. And it's essentially an investigative history of how they came into office thinking they were going to do one thing, found that the world as it was not always cooperative with that.
What did they think they were going to do, and then what did they find out that made them do something else?
Well, they came in as tremendous critics of the Bush administration, of course. Right?
They were going to close Guantanamo.
They were going to close Guantanamo. They were going to fix the war on terror. They were going to not have a global war on terror. They were going to right-size all these things. And they found that things were much more complicated than they thought on one level. There were many more people at Guantanamo, for example, who could not be released. They were dangerous and yet could not be prosecuted for any crime because either they had been tortured or because certain statutes about material support for terrorism did not apply to them until after their capture. Were not expanded to apply to non-citizens abroad. But in more broadly, they also had a certain idea about how to fix the war on terror, and that idea had to do with law. And this is where one of the great disconnects, and it's sort of like the fundamental question of the book. Obama came in as the liberal law professor who was going to, change the war on terror, and he ended up acting, some people think, quite a lot like George W. Bush. He kept indefinite detention. Even if he closed Guantanamo, which he's failed to do, he was going to use it somewhere else. He used drone strikes, a massive surveillance state. He went beyond Bush in certain respects, like overseeing a crackdown on
all of this caused you to say Obama's no dove on national security.
He certainly is no dove, but the question is, how did we get here? What happened? And one of the insights that arises from all these stories that I have behind the scenes where you're sort of fly on the wall as they're wrestling with this stuff is that in retrospect, we can see now something that was not as clear at the time during the Bush years, which was there were two very different strands of criticism of what Bush was doing and Cheney was doing after 9/11. There was a rule of law critique and a civil liberties critique. The civil liberties critique says things like warrantless surveillance are inherently wrong. The state should not have the power to prosecute people in military commissions instead of traditional trials against individual rights. The rule of law critique is sort of agnostic about these policies, maybe except for torture, which is always illegal. The rule of law critique focuses instead, can the president disobey the law? If the law says you've got to get a warrant to wiretap on U.S. soil, maybe that law doesn't make sense anymore, but the president needs to go to Congress and get it changed. The president doesn't get to say in secret, I'm the commander-in-chief, I'm going to blow through it. And in retrospect, so these are very different, right? And in retrospect, the Obama people, Obama himself and many of the people he was gathering around him, were, during the Bush years, making this rule of law critique of what the problem was. And the difference between these two, of course, is the one can be fixed. And late in Bush's second term, Congress comes in, they pass laws like the Military Commissions Act and the FISA Amendments Act. They adjust federal law to bring it into alignment with what Bush was already doing. And as a result, by the time Obama takes office, at least from that lawyerly mindset, the problems had largely been solved. And so they thought, well, we're not acting like Bush. We're acting pursuant to the law. Terrorism is still a problem, but this is what we're going to do. Meanwhile, groups like the American Civil Liberties Union and libertarians on both the left and the right, who diagnosed what it means to act like Bush very differently, thought this is betrayal.
take the four lawyers that were originally profiled in the New York Times having to do with Osama bin Laden.
We thought we knew what there was to know about the bin Laden raid to some extent, and yet here's this whole other element, this sort of dimension to it that was not yet told. The Osama bin Laden raid raised all these tremendous legal issues. Can you violate Pakistani sovereignty by using military force on its soil far from the tribal areas where there's a normal functioning Pakistani government without asking their permission? Can you go in?
Don't we do that a lot?
Well, we definitely use force in countries where there is not a functioning government. Right. And the tribal area of Pakistan is kind of like that. It is like that. Rural Yemen, Somalia, Badlands, which are not the battlefield, but are also not normal countries where if there's a terrorist threat, you can send the police to go arrest them. And one of the great controversies of the post-9/11 era, of course, is that first the Bush administration and really the Obama administration as well have taken the position that the war follows our enemies when they go to these places, and the international law.
If they escape Afghanistan and go into North Waziristan, then to invade that Pakistani security is perfectly okay.
Well, we also think that at least it seems to be that the Pakistanis have granted consent to strikes within a box within that area. A harder case might be Somalia, which doesn't even have a government really that can grant consent in the first place. But certainly Pakistanis were not granting consent to Abbottabad, to ground forces. And so these lawyers...
And didn't know.
Yes. And so these lawyers... So there's that. Can it be a kill mission instead of a capture mission? Can we bury him at sea?
What do you think that was?
What do I think what
the Obama mission was a capture mission or a kill mission?
No, it was definitely a kill mission. And the question was when is that lawful and under what conditions is that lawful? And the great exception is even in war, if someone surrenders and it's feasible to accept that surrender, you can't shoot them at that point. But it's okay in war to go in trying to kill your enemy. And so the first two lawyers who do were the CIA lawyer and then the National Security Council lawyer. And for a long time, they were the only two lawyers who had been read in on the secret because the White House was desperately afraid of a leak that could enable bin Laden to escape again. Mm-hmm. So for the first 4 or 5 months, the focus is on, can we get more intelligence? Who's in this compound? By the spring of 2011, it shifts to what are we going to do about it? What are the courses of action? And at that point, they read in as well the top two uniformed and civilian lawyers at the Pentagon. And these 4 lawyers are the only ones who know at the policy-making level until almost the very end. And they are working through all these issues. Can we bomb the compound? Can we bomb it with a big bomb that basically takes out the whole neighborhood? How much collateral damage of civilian bystanders is acceptable given the given the military value of getting him and so forth?
Is the essence of what you're telling me that Obama came in with certain reformist ideas and then he saw the hard reality of what the nature of the conflict was about, and he went a different direction?
I think that he came in, he came in with a rule of law mindset.
Right.
He accepted, which some on the left do not accept, that this was war. The reason that
terrorism was war.
That the war against Al-Qaeda was a real war. It was an armed conflict triggering wartime authorities. And the reason he accepted that was because Congress had said it was a war and the Supreme Court had agreed it was a war. And so even if it's ambiguous and these sort of 21st century situations don't map on, he was satisfied. That said, he wanted to wind things down. He had in his first year, you could see he wanted to ratchet things back and normalize things as much as he could. And then the Christmas underwear bombing attack, which to me is a pivotal moment in his presidency. In Christmas 2009, a terrorist from Nigeria sent by Al-Qaeda's Yemen branch almost succeeds in bringing down a plane bound for Detroit over American soil.
This is the shoe bomber.
This is the underwear bomber.
Underwear bomber, right.
And it's sheer luck that the bomb doesn't go off. It had nothing to do with our defenses. Everything failed. And the political fall. So first of all, that itself is gut-wrenching if you're the president or you're the national security team. But on top of that, the political fallout, which I map out in Chapter 3 then, which includes Scott Brown, a Republican, winning in Massachusetts in Ted Kennedy's deep blue seat, suggested that if there was an attack that succeeded, he would be a failed one-term president. They would not be able to do any of the things they wanted to do, way beyond national security, healthcare reform, etc. And the whole thing would collapse. Just a year after his historic sweeping victory, which included Democrats getting to a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, everything looked totally 180 degrees different. And from that point on, this sort of ambiguous, ambivalent first year, we're going to keep some of this, but we'll use it sparingly, and we're going to ratchet back some of that, shifted, both in their internal deliberations, as I show in one story after another. It becomes much more of a hard line. We are going to do what it takes to prevent that from happening.
Where do you think the president has come on the question of this balance between security and privacy and freedom?
Well, I definitely think that the Obama that ran for office sounds very different than the Obama who is president. The epigraph at the front of my book captures that contrast as vividly as I can see. It's Obama in 2007 as a senator. He's giving his big national security speech as he's trying to present himself as someone to be taken seriously running for president, and he denounces the Bush administration for presenting a false choice between our security and our ideals. We can live up to the Constitution and still be secure without sacrificing either.
Thank you to Charlie Rose and his guest, the chairman and CEO of Bank of America, Brian Moynihan, and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, Charlie Savage. A reminder, you can watch Charlie Rose on Bloomberg Television weeknights at 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. in high definition on Verizon Fios Channel 604. We're glad you're spending your Sunday morning at our brunch with Charlie Rose on Bloomberg Radio. This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. A Wall Street veteran says investors need to lower their expectations for 2016.
It's hard to make the case for a big move up in stock prices.
Hugh Johnson is the chairman of Hugh Johnson Advisors. He has been on Wall Street for decades.
The problem is stocks have reached a level which is a little bit pricey or overvalued, and if you have...
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. He weighed 1 pound, 7 ounces. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His brain wasn't ready. At the hospital, the nurses said Daniel was a fighter, and they would do all they could to help him. The doctor said even with the best care, Daniel may never walk. He may never see. He may never learn. Daniel's parents spent night after night at the hospital, watching his every breath, holding his tiny hands, and looking for signs that he was growing stronger. At home, his parents looked around Daniel's empty nursery, at the quiet toys and the still rocker, and they hoped that one day they could sit in that rocking chair and tell this story to their very healthy son. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year, but there's hope for a happy ending. The March of Dimes is funding the research and programs to stop premature birth. You can help bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
1230 WBZT West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station. This report is streamed live on our iHeartRadio app. Download it now.
Our weather today in Palm Beach County is looking much better than days past. We'll see a mostly cloudy sky with a few peaks of sunshine, and we have the possibility of running into a couple of showers. Higher rain chances come tomorrow in advance of our next front. This front will push through and usher in some lower humidity and lower rain chances for midweek. I'm Storm Team 5 meteorologist Tyler Malden for 1230 WBZT.
This report is brought to you by Unbound. Ever wonder where your charitable donations are really going? At Unbound, you'll know who you're helping and what impact your support is having on their life. That's just one way Unbound is different. Learn more at unbound.org.
Go to the Man's Best Friend with Brenna Ray blog at WJNO.com. You can check out the new video each week of an adoptable puppy who's ready to go home today. The Man's Best Friend with Brenna Ray blog is brought to you by Premier Comfort. Beat the heat with Premier Comfort at 561-444-3670.
1230 WBZT. The thoughts and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and don't necessarily reflect those of the station or iHeartMedia.
Hi, it's Leah, here to tell you about Dr. Anthony Pannozzo. He's a pain specialist located in southern Palm Beach County, so if you are somebody that you know is suffering in pain, Dr. Pannozzo is the one you guys need to call. And make that call today, because living in pain is no way to go through life. Dr. Pannozzo has been in practice now for more than 49 years. He's treated more than 73,000 patients for pain. He's an expert when it comes to diagnosing the pain, and he has had huge turnarounds. In fact, people people living with scoliosis, he has had nearly a 100% turnaround. Lumbar pain as well. If you've got lower back pain, if you're suffering with migraines or flat feet pain, maybe pain in your elbows, your neck, your shoulders, Dr. Pannozzo can help you. And the greatest thing is he can help you without drugs, without surgery, and without having to go through weeks and months of rehabilitation. Give him a call today. Set up an appointment. It's 561-381-5800. Tune into his show Sundays, 11 to noon. And now, here's this week's edition of the Dr. Pannozzo Sports and Medicine Hour.
Good morning, everybody. And first, I want to wish a happy Hanukkah, a healthy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends. I also want to, all my prayers to all those people who have lost loved ones during the really bad thing in San Bernardino. Our hearts go out to them, and we wish them recovery, their families. And now, I'm going to help everybody today. Not only do Doc, what do you think, Freddy and Dr. Pannozzo, is the best gift to give a golfer? It's not golf balls. They have a lot of those, right? It's not a new club. They got a lot of those. I'm going to tell you what the best gift this year to give you golfers. Visit Dr. Pannozzo. Tell them why, Doc. What are you going to do for golfers that the golf club and the tees and the balls and the bags aren't going to do?
Instructors can help you. If you have a pain in your swing and your distance is reducing gradually, I can reverse that.
Guaranteed.
We know where the sources are of the pain. We know the golf swing better than anybody.
Yeah.
From the medical point of view, the instructors you get don't have anatomy and physiology classes. They have no idea about what I'm talking about. So, I don't know. I keep saying this, but you got to believe it.
Wouldn't that be a great gift?
We can feel absolutely.
I mean, as a golfer, which
I never thought about it. That's a good idea.
What a great gift!
That's a good idea.
No, a lot of you might think that when you get this gift, you put Dr. Pannozzo under the tree. No, he doesn't come wrapped. What you have to do is you have to go there and improve the way you approach a golf ball.
Yeah, if somebody's retired now and all they want to do is play golf and they can't play golf, I think a good wife would say, "I'm going to pay for you to go to see."
And what about the good husband paying for his wife?
Swing evaluated.
Yeah.
Yes, it goes that way too. And and it doesn't cost that much, and you get an honest and it's very scientific, and that's what you want. Predictable and reproducible is a science, and we could do that for you. But yeah, it's a great thing to do.
But here's a funny part about it. People will spend $495 to $600 for a driver. Okay, I know that you don't charge anywhere near that to get that to get that person the ability to get that torque and that speed into that ball. I mean, the drive is the most important shot.
Well, usually it's covered by insurance anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're Medicare, it covers that.
Right.
We call it a pain. Now, you have a question from somebody about coding and all.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about insurance.
What we're talking about?
I think you want to get that. Okay, good. Alexander from Free Speech TV writes, I've seen the shows on your website and wanted to know how Obamacare next year is going to affect how you treat people. I completely understand that what you do is so different that you have no classification. The Obamacare situation will work with free speech. We are interested in your response. Okay. Go ahead. I can repeat the question.
First of all,
maybe you should.
First of all, it's a specialty, musculoskeletal medicine.
Okay.
It's an offshoot of physical medicine and rehabilitation. That's the board, and we passed that in the 60s. Anyway, so we've been practicing this way for 52 years or 53.
Okay.
Yeah. And everything we do is coded.
Okay.
In fact, the billing goes in with the codes on it.
Okay.
If you want to know what your bill is, we can copy that for you, and you can see it. The codes are there, the procedures are there, everything's on there.
And those codes are issued by the insurance companies that you got to follow that.
This
Okay.
This is basic medicine. Basic medicine that we practice. This is not an offshoot or holistic or anything like that. This is really a science here.
So in other words, when someone says
his information was a little off, You're talking about I'm not classified. That's baloney.
Okay.
We are classified.
Right. I mean, Alexander, just to let you understand what Dr. Pannozzo, he's a doctor. He's a medical doctor graduate from Ohio State.
Yeah,
he cannot do any of that stuff unless it's coded.
Yeah. Who is this?
His name is Alexander, and he.
Okay.
Well, Freddie, you've heard of this gentleman, right?
Well, I just want to make sure he listened.
Yeah, I want to make sure he'll listen, won't he?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that what he's looking for is the effect that Obamacare is going to have.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's the second question.
Okay.
The Obamacare is affecting everybody. It's affecting the fact that the insurance companies are charging more and paying out less.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you follow their stock, this is a very good indication. 3 years ago, their stocks, all of them, were in the 40s and 30s. Now they're always $100, $150 a share.
Right.
That tells you that they have a lot of money, and investors are willing to pay that to get that cash. Where is the cash coming from? It's coming from money you pay your insurance company. If they don't spend it, then they keep it, and that's what's going on now. So they're paying us less and less, they're approving less and less, and they're keeping more and more. And that's Obamacare for you. They are decimating medical care in this country. You can't believe this stuff. And next year it gets worse.
That's, I think, what he was trying to point out.
Yeah, next year, I treat back pain. Okay, there's only so many pieces that you can treat in the back. There's an annulus, a ligament, and there's a joint with has a ligament on it and a nerve, and that's it. There's nothing else there.
Right.
They want prior approval to treat anything. Now, Cigna wants that, United Healthcare wants that, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and who's to prove what you do in your own office? They have decimated everything. These people who want approval of what we do in our office are not in that office. If we don't write down what they want to see, they're not going to approve it. So you're not going to get your procedure paid for. And this is coming big time in 16. Everybody's going to be affected. Everybody.
You think getting a new administration in is going to help?
They got to get enough conservatives in the Congress to decimate that thing, override the president, and get a common sense approach to health care in this country. We had great health care before Obama.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Everybody had insurance, and it was always cheap. It was always, they paid for everything. Everything was great.
My insurance keeps going up.
Absolutely.
Every year.
Everybody's will go up. Mine's going up. I'm on Medicare, and it's going up.
Well, so am I. No, I know I don't look like I need Medicare, but...
So Obamacare, you haven't seen it yet. You've only seen a little bit of it. It's coming big time in 16. It's a shame. It's a shame.
If we...
Personally, I don't have to work anymore, so I can take it. I mean, I can sit in my office and do nothing.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you don't work anymore...
You're going to pay for it. Everything is going to pay for cash out of your pocket.
What are we going to do on Sunday?
Huh?
I have no place to go on Sunday. I'm going to have to meet Freddy and do a radio show.
No, I want to do the program so I can get everybody excited.
We're probably the only program on the air today that doesn't have sponsors, because we don't have to. We just want to get the information out to people. I mean, let's face it. If you're anybody living on this planet, you're being affected by Obamacare. I don't care who you are. And what happens is you're not getting the kind of service you want. Now, here's my point to you. First, I want to give out the number. If anyone agrees or disagrees, please call us at 800-889-0267. That's 800-889-0267. Whether you agree with Dr. Pannozzo or don't disagree with Pannozzo, give us your feeling. He'll be able to answer any questions you want, except who he's voting for.
Did we answer that question?
Freddie, what do you think? Do you think we answered that question sufficient?
Yeah, I have another question to that question.
Okay.
Doc, you say you work on the back, and there's just so much you can do. But I also know that you work in certain areas that relate to other areas. And I think that that's the part that people are having a hard time understanding. Like, you explain hamstrings very clearly, and there are still questions about hamstrings. And there's questions about migraines and where they originate and how you're curing it.
Yeah, we're trying to get across cause and effect.
Exactly.
That's my thinking. It's very scientific thinking. Cause and effect. Don't do this if you don't know why you're doing it. It's simply on street language. You're not going to shovel snow if there's no snow there. I mean, you just don't do things that don't make any sense.
But what we're doing in the medical profession is giving medication that doesn't make any sense right now.
Well, we're doing other things too, promoting general practice as the guardian. Because why? Because specialists are too expensive. Are you out of... Whoever's doing that is out of their minds. The specialist is the one who can reduce costs because they know what's going on. General practice doesn't know that. They don't know what the specialist knows. If they did, they'd be a specialist.
Right.
It's wrong thinking. It's wrong thinking, and this is Obamacare.
Well, here's my feeling. I think everyone out there understands. Nobody should ever have to go in for surgery if they don't. Now, I'm not saying that the surgery might be prevalent, that they need to go, but shouldn't someone at least have the thinking power to see someone like you who is a medical doctor to give them another avenue? Maybe don't go for surgery. Maybe you could fix them, which I know you can't because I've been there.
Well, we can fix anything because we know we know what causes the pain, the source. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. It's true.
Where's my
we know
bell?
Where the source is, we can reduce any pain
Right.
that you bring in the first day you come. But with the new Obamacare, with these companies now, you have to have a prior approval to do that.
I think that's what he was alluding to, Doc.
How can you treat somebody like I do the same day you walk in there and knock that pain right out? And now you can't do it because so you have to have our approval. But who are these people who need approval of what I do in my office? Now, if they were in my office with me, I could see that, but they're not.
New World Order, Doc.
They're 1,000 miles away. This is Obamacare.
This is New World Order.
NWO,
and
the
it's
wrestling
terrible.
guys.
Well,
People
New
don't
World
understand
Order.
what these Democrats have done to them. I'm sorry.
No, you can say whatever you want as long as it's clean.
Well, Democrat, Republican, House, whatever. The Senate just voted to get rid of Obamacare. I think they do it every year.
Yeah,
It's
because
going to be
it's
vetoed.
foolish.
The House
Vetoed
does it
again.
every year. It used to be, remember...
Well, the House is Democratic now, so now it's the Senate that's Republican.
Yeah.
They just overturned
No,
it.
the
but
House
it's
is
going
Republican also.
It's a
The
Republican
House
House and Senate, yeah.
Yeah.
Not
but
this year.
They still not enough.
Right
yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Right now it's a
But
Republican
there's
House
not
and
enough votes
Republican
to
Senate.
override
Obamacare. Yeah, because he's going to veto
whatever his name is. I don't even want to say it.
Well, if you look at all the countries that give free medicine, they're all bankrupt. I'll tell you something. I met a lady a couple of days ago from Canada, a really sweet lady. My wife was shopping at the festival flea market, and I was sitting on the bench eating one of the pickles that they have there for $1. And we start talking. She says they come to this country for good medical care because if you have a problem that needs surgery, you got to wait online. They just don't take you in.
Well, you got to wait in line. In Canada, you can't get an MRI right away.
No.
And you can't make a diagnosis right away. You can't treat people right away. I mean, I don't know what the people are paying for. They think it's free. It is not free.
Nothing's
It's
free.
very expensive up there.
There's no free lunch anymore. Let me go with a couple more questions before. Well, first, I want to leave everyone with this. Dr. Pannozzo, around January, February, he's going to be doing his golf school. So anyone that wants to know about the golf school, you could call me. Actually, you could call me at my number, and I'll explain everything to you. Or you could call Dr. Pannozzo. We always give out his number, which is 561-381-5800. Do not call when we're on the air, because we can't answer the call.
Now, what is the golf school?
Yeah, what is the golf school?
Well, let me tell you what the golf school is.
This is the first time hearing it. Tell me.
I'm glad you.
What?
I'm
Where
glad
have you
will
been,
ask.
Freddie?
Well, what the golf school basically is we're going to invite people who are out of the state, or even people in the state, to come down, and where Dr. Pannozzo will analyze your swing. He will actually show you on film why you can't make that full turn. And if you ever watched Rory McIlroy or Jason Spieth, when they come back, they're using that body, and they all have injuries afterwards. So he's going to analyze the swing. Then you're going to go on the driving range, maybe on Saturday.
Okay, stop right there.
Yes,
We're
sir.
going to analyze a swing on a medical point of view.
Yes,
in
I was
other
gonna get to
words,
that.
I know the anatomy and physiology of the golf swing at the tee. The rest of the swings are art of golf. You know, how fast you go, what force you put in, the distance and all that. That's the art of golf. But the tee, hitting that ball off the tee, is a medical problem. And the faster people understand that, the better off we're going to be, because look at, you could go downhill without an analysis like I do. Well, look at Tiger Woods.
One of the greatest golfers that ever lived.
3 surgeries on his lower back. You got to be crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's my opinion. I haven't seen him, but it really makes me mad because surgeons don't have an outlook on the physiology of the golf swing.
And you're also you studied physics as well as medicine. I mean, you understand the body.
So we could tell you where that pain's from and fix it. And we do a film of your swing before treatment. So we narrow down what you're complaining about. And then we look at your distance. We have a PGA trained by me specialist with us. Then we figure out what the problem is, and we fix that problem on a medical basis, right then and there. And then we go out to the driving range, let you hit full force, analyze it again, see if there's anything remaining. Go back to the clinic, fix that, then play 18 holes of golf that afternoon.
And then we come back the next day, the same thing.
And then the Sunday, we do the same thing. We fix up whatever's left, go out in the driving range, and then play 18 holes of golf, and that's it. So you're getting the distance you want, you're getting a pain-free swing, and you're getting the PGA basic instruction. So that's it. That's the golf school, and it's 100% effective. It's just like, if you come to my office with a back pain and I fix it that same day, it doesn't come back. We do the same thing, the same analysis on the golf swing. And just because you have a pain on the golf swing doesn't mean it's a different pain than anybody else gets. It's the same pain. So we fix all that. Guaranteed. You got to pay money for this school, but it's guaranteed. If you're not happy, I'll give you your money back.
But for all the people that live out of the state of Florida, we are going to put a package together. You could call us up anytime you want, where you'll be able to get be able to get transportation, your food, where to go in one of the most beautiful areas in South Florida, off of Atlantic Avenue. There's more restaurants than.
Yeah, we're working on a course to do all this on.
Yeah, Freddy's going to work on his course.
So it's the real thing. If you people want to get your swing back, we can do it. I guarantee you we can do it.
Well, now going back to this coding thing, you said something very funny. How could you, in good conscience, tell someone what the patient needs unless you see the patient? So if someone says, "Well, you got to put a code in for your back," you don't know. I'll give you a perfect example. I want to bring this up. We had someone that came in with an ankle problem. So if you had to get that ankle problem coded, it wasn't an ankle that was causing the pain.
Right.
So you would be doing a misjustice to the patient as well as the insurance company.
Well, no, we only do a diagnosis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sure thing.
I know
we
that.
make a diagnosis, it is absolutely accurate.
I can tell Freddie, you got to hear this story. You're going to like this one. A brother and sister came in on I think it was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. He is a listener of this show. He is a listener of WZZR, knows Dano from the Love Docs, and it took him months to convince his sister to come see Dr. Pannozzo. After she went in, she said, "Can I take another shot? There's another part of my body that," and he didn't want to do it. He said, "Come back next week so I could, She was so reluctant that after she was cured from was it a shoulder? Because I came in later.
The basic.
Okay. She started having pains in the back, and she wanted to. So what I'm saying to you, if you're reluctant, just come in.
Right. Well, by the way, I got to tell you a story.
I mean, it was amazing.
You mentioned often on this program, even of those two ladies with the vertigo.
Mm.
Okay, on the older one.
Right.
She's 70-some.
That's not old, Doc. That's not old 70.
Older, he said.
Older. Okay, I'm a young 70, Doc.
Plays,
Let's get that.
She still plays golf or tennis.
Okay.
Anyway, the son came in. Her son came in. He's a runner, so we had to look at his ankle. And I said to him, what have you heard about vertigo from your mother? Because that was over a month ago.
Right.
He said, he thought about it, and he said, I hear about every other pain, but not vertigo.
That's great.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
pretty good.
That is another 100% cure. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to take advantage of that. Don't suffer with this stuff. You don't have to.
And she, if I remember correctly, and stop me if I'm wrong, because I know you will. Of course, you go like this with the hand, and you stop me. I don't want to talk about that. Leave me alone. She was under medication for quite a long time, and she was. In fact, she told the story when the doctor gave her an added medication for her vertigo and migraines, and the pharmacist said, "No, you take these two together, you won't be able to get out of bed." So the pharmacist was smart enough to catch that.
Well, we got to go.
Where we going?
But anyway, I just want to tell you that story because over a month now, and that vertigo did not come back.
No, which is amazing.
People should listen to this.
What about the migraines?
I want to bring a couple up.
Go ahead.
There's I'm reading an article here. This is an MD wrote it.
Okay.
Can neuromodulation be used to manage pelvic pain? No. You should find out what the pain's from and treat it directly. They're talking about putting the stimulators in.
Oh, God.
You don't want to do that. You don't have to do that. if you know what you're doing. This is an anesthesiologist.
Well, how do they know about musculoskeletal
They
pain?
do not know. This is the prices. I'm so glad you brought that up.
I mean, I'm just trying to think how an anesthesiologist knows about musculoskeletal. It's like two different things.
It's exactly what I've said many times.
That's like you telling somebody should take a...
Anesthesiologists should not get involved in treating pain. They only do blocks.
Right.
Isolated blocks.
Right.
And that's why Obamacare changed the idea of you have to get approval from certain groups before you can do a block.
That's a hindrance to the
Because
pain.
the anesthesiologists were blocking everybody, and the bills were going in, and they were getting nothing out of it. So they said, we got to stop this stuff.
Right.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the inside story about this. The inside story. All right, here's another one.
You've been doing your homework this weekend, right, Doc?
I picked this up by accident, but it's everywhere. Here's waging a war on pain, moving military medicine in a new holistic direction. Again, the care is going down. There is no such thing as holistic medicine. You've got to know what you're treating. If you don't know what you're treating, get out of the business, is what I say. I spend a lot of time learning what to treat.
Where did it come from? Very important for people to understand.
No laughing matter, integrative approach really works. Military medicine, Dr. Buckenmeyer says, has finally begun to recognize the role of integrative medicine, yoga, massage, acupuncture, biofeedback, and the like in treating pain. None of those people that do those things know where the pain's from. So how can they... Excuse me. How can they do
we're okay with that. Yeah, you can say we're okay.
I just don't get it. I'm a very scientific medical doctor, and I don't understand their thinking. They don't know what they're doing, and yet they do it, and they're passing it off as integrative medicine. This guy is another anesthesiologist.
Well, I'll tell you what you said.
And he's in the military, and he's getting paid for this. Wrong.
I'll tell you how right you are. Before I met you, I was getting severe headaches. This is going back maybe 20 years ago. And my buddy, quote, who was a psychiatrist, said he wants me to do biofeedback. Now, let me tell you what biofeedback is. You ready for this one, Freddie? He wanted me to make believe I was on the ocean. And by visualizing I was on the ocean, it was supposed to relax my brain. But no one knew, until I met you, no one knew where that pain came from to begin with. Well, 3 times I fell asleep, but I woke up with the same headache. Because no one knew where the source is, and finding you after all these years, that is the most amazing thing about medicine that no doctor ever does. You have to find where that source came from to cure it. Am I right?
Yeah. Well,
look at you, Freddie. I mean, you were one of the most difficult positions when you played ball. You were a catcher, hardest position for anybody.
That's right.
And you went to him.
Yep. And absolutely.
Here's another one. 8 weeks to wellness and meditation. This is supposed to cure your pain. 8 weeks to wellness and meditation.
I like that.
There's somebody selling a book here.
Yeah, of course.
There is no meditation that takes care of a ligament. How do you meditate a ligament pain? I mean,
you drink green tea.
Oh, yeah, green tea, right.
You see, you understand, you have to have a source before you can treat a pain. That's what's wrong with migraine treatment. They're treating a symptom.
That's so important.
Headache is a symptom, but we figured out where it's from. It's from COC1, and we put a shot in it, and it's gone.
Tell the people who are not doctors what COC1 means. Tell what that means.
That's a joint, a particular joint where this headache comes from.
Right.
And it is a ligament pain, and it's true. I guarantee anything we talk about here. In fact, Les is over here, and he holds my feet to the fire, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He talks to everybody and verifies what we're saying.
I've been there. I have a friend of mine who suffered from everything, from vertigo to TMJ to migraines, who I think, yes, actually it was how many months?
Oh, she was the other one in the office that day with the older one.
Yeah.
And her stuff didn't come back either.
No.
Vertigo.
Well, she would have called me and started yelling at me.
She would get vertigo when she came to a stop sign because her head would bomb.
Right.
And since then, she's in the car, a salesperson, and doesn't come back.
What's amazing that people can, if you could just wrap your brain around this, I know it's hard to believe. If someone told me that, I'd say, come on, my doctor said, take 2 aspirins, ibuprofen, blah, 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 give a shot of epinephrine, and the headache will go away. But what you do, the headache never comes back. That's the key. It goes away that moment and doesn't come back again.
Well, that kind of treatment does not recognize a source. That's why it doesn't work. You have to have a source.
And how do you code that?
All these things, I code it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All these things I've talked about here, all these three examples, have no sources.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. That's why the government is so intent on getting musculoskeletal pain down, getting approval for this or that, the other, because the bills are so high. But you know what? If you look at what the insurance company tells you can do,
right?
They created the problem.
Oh yes, of course.
Like for instance, you can do 6 injections on the spine at one time for investigational purposes. How stupid is that?
Wow.
They created a problem that they have. Now everybody's doing 6 shots. See? That's written down. That's what they do.
But that's not where the pain might not be from.
But the pain is not from there all the time. It's not from those. It's from another source, which we treat. I was talking to a chiropractor the other day.
I know you treat
what would you do with this kind of diagnosis? He did not have an answer. Here's a guy whose license is to treat a pain by I don't know what they do, stretching and did not have an answer to where the diagnosis was.
He didn't know where the pain
He did not know where it came from. And I said, if it comes from here, what do you do for it? He said, didn't have an answer. Okay. There is no answer.
I've never been to Freddie. Have you ever been to a chiropractor? Because I've never been to a chiropractor, so I don't know what they really do.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be stupid. I really don't know what they do.
They do some good, or else they'd be out of business.
Yeah, but
I'm not considering that. I'm considering a particular diagnosis that they don't have an answer for.
Right.
And usually those are being operated, because if they don't have an answer, their ego is so big that they refer to a surgeon. Well, nothing else can be done for you. That is not true.
Right.
That is absolutely not true. No surgery is ever necessary. Quote me. Get my name right?
That's your name, man.
Quote me.
Pannozzo, Pannozzo.
Yes. No surgery is necessary for the musculoskeletal system.
So,
and that includes orthopedics and neurosurgery.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to grasp my head around it, and wouldn't the insurance companies save a lot more money? Because if they have to pay for a surgery, when you could avoid that, why wouldn't they save money that way?
I will answer your question.
I hope so.
It's like when you have a committee in Congress.
Right.
On your committee, you will pick who's going to be on there so you get the answer you want.
Okay.
This is what happens with the insurance company. They have advisory committees. It depends. The answer depends on who you pick to be on that committee.
That's true. If you think about it.
Yeah, they'll quote articles and so forth. I read the same articles. They're garbage.
Yeah.
But that's what they use.
That sounds logical. I can see that.
I met the guy who wrote most of the articles they're using as their basis. And he's an anesthesiologist, and he wrote those articles to benefit his practice, which has a lot of clinics in it. And all they did was joint shots, which when people come in my office, they had the joint shots. It's not the joint.
Right.
It's somewhere else, which we could figure out. We know where it's from. But this is the inside stories of what's going on, inside baseball, so to speak.
Inside baseball.
And people listening to that are going to say, what in the world is he talking about? I'm talking the truth to you. You've got to listen to it.
Well, if you go to the drugstore and you buy migraine medicine, you ever see they sell migraine, aspirin, and they sell pills for migraine headaches.
Excedrin PM is a new one.
Yeah, I mean, it's fast acting, it will take away your migraines and yada, yada, yada. But that's not resolving the issue.
Well, you look inside, what's in it?
White stuff.
Aspirin.
Probably.
Aspirin, that's your best drug in the world. Not narcotics, nothing. Aspirin is it. Not ibuprofen, not the other stuff. Aspirin. ASA, aspirin. 325 milligrams. Mm-hmm. That is your best drug.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not resolving the migraine.
No.
But it's a good treatment for it because it's inflammation of a ligament, see?
Yes, and it works for 4 hours. And then the next thing you know, when it comes back, it hurts worse than when they left.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. A lot of times it'll take care of it for a long time because it's an inflammation. It depends on the state of the disease, so to speak, or the condition. You can have severe pain and less pain. So it depends on where you come into that arc.
Mm-hmm.
And
so everybody's migraine is different.
Well, no, a pain is different. It's the same on everybody. It just depends on when you get to it. It can be minor or severe.
Right.
The same structure. Okay, the same structure.
Gotcha.
So you could have really dizziness and huge migraines from the same joint that you would have less. It's the same joint.
Is it how it affects me, or is the joint itself?
It's the joint itself. It's the trauma that goes into it. There is nothing. This is the art of medicine. You have to know what you're doing when you practice medicine. I mean, you have to understand that disease isn't always that clear.
Right.
You have to find it. Yeah.
Well, you know, my son went to see Dr. Pannozzo last week.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Gio went to
What
see
happened?
Well, I went to get a cup of coffee out of the studio, and I came back, and his back hurt.
Right.
And I said, what happened? He said, Pannozzo made me bend like a pretzel, and now my back hurts. I said, where is it hurting? It's like in the middle of his back.
Right.
So we go see Dr. Pannozzo the next day. And he's there early.
I know.
And he did his thing, and he found out that one hip was higher than the other. So what this Gio said, now he's never said this to me, but he says, it's true that when I walk, my right leg hurts.
And Gio's a pretty smart guy.
He is, but he's never told me that he had pain in his hip, ever. I said, I've coached him as a baby, football and baseball. Never heard this before. So I noticed, because Doc says, he lurches over, and that usually indicates pain. So he puts the lift in his shoe, which he doesn't take off now. It's like permanent glue on his
Right, it should be.
And his gait is straight, and his shoulders are square. So I said to him, why are you doing that? Because he went to see Dr. Pannozzo. He says, no, actually, I feel better. And I said, how can you feel better? You just put it in there. Now, it's been a few days, and I asked him, and he says that at the beginning, the other hip was hurting him.
Yes.
I said, that's the adjustment. So he goes, should I stop worrying? And I said, oh, no. You gotta get through that adjustment.
You still wear yours?
Oh, yeah. Religiously.
He had an injury that he recalled when he was young, between
helping his brother lift weights.
12 and 18 years old is when your growth
That's when
occurs.
he had the injury.
That's when he had the injury. Everybody with the scoliosis has the injury at the same time.
And it's funny because my other son was there, and they were talking about this, and Freddy couldn't remember when Gio was spotting him, and that's when Gio hurt himself. And he says, yeah, I remember the day that it happened. But he's walking, his shoulders are square. Gio's kind of lurky anyway. His elbow and knees.
You got to put some weight on Gio.
But there was no injections, is my point of this whole story.
No, well, not everybody
He didn't need it. Well, this is my point. Sometimes Dr. Pannozzo can help you just by explaining what's going on
and
with your body.
And if he can't help you, which is he tells you, I'm not the doctor for you to see. I mean, he does have an ego where I understand he does have an ego because he feels good. You can't believe how great it is when you see what he does. I mean, you've been there.
Well, the funny thing is that my son wouldn't talk to Dr. Pannozzo. He says, well, you got to tell me, where it is. He says, why are you being so shy? He says, well, Doc, you got to understand, I've never seen a doctor like you. Yeah. So he didn't know what to tell him. But at the end, he started to speak, and then he says, it's true, I have this pain. And then now he's walking around everywhere because now it's become a thing of the head.
What happened with you when you got fixed?
Well, we went to lunch, and I stopped
traffic. Got me killed in the traffic.
I got to stop traffic. But you know what it is? When it's like when it hits you, and all of a sudden you get feeling back, or you feel better, or the pain isn't there anymore. You begin to wonder, why did I walk around like that for such a long time?
Of course, you don't realize it. What is it, Doc? If your left side, you compensate and you like put more weight or something on the right side to compensate for the problem on the left. Is that normally what happens to people? They compensate by.
No, it's just a ligament adjustment.
Yeah. Amazing.
So that was funny. I just wanted people to know that Dr. Pannozzo helped Gio, but
helped me.
He didn't get a shot.
No.
So
if you don't need a shot, he doesn't give it to you.
That's right. In this case, it didn't need a shot. He explained to what was going on.
Right.
But the more important thing is that as an observer, you're letting the public know through this radio station that your own son went through this.
That's right.
And you described it very nicely, by the way. Mm-hmm. And it's true. He'll stay good and he'll improve right along.
So he's a firm believer. He says, I thought Dr. Pannozzo was insane, but he's actually pretty good.
How can you think I'm insane?
You showed him the spot in the hip where he had the growth. And
Freddy, you guys are funny.
And he said, something, Dad, the guy's pretty good. And for him to say that is amazing because he watches and he listens and he says, I can tell people that he helped me. Everything is a go right now. Everything feels good.
The bottom line is that the man could actually watch the way you walk. I watched him do this. I'm there. You know what it is? I come there a lot. And why I come there a lot is to find out, because my name is on everything we do, so is yours, to watch what it is that I have not yet seen, or you haven't. We always tell people, if you went to Dr. Pannozzo and he didn't do what he said he was going to do, call us up on the air. We take every call. We don't shy away from any call. Call us up and tell us. We haven't had that yet in, about almost 2 years?
If you think you know something, bring it to my attention.
And you know what? That's how you learn. My thing is this. I had a hernia, which I know we have listeners, always new listeners come on every week. And he said, how'd you get this? I don't know. I lift weights. He got me to tell him that when I was pulling a bag out of my car on a trip is when I felt it. He knew that. He found the pain with his finger. Let me tell you something.
No, that's not true.
I found the pain with my finger. I know it's somebody's finger.
I found it by history and clinical exam.
Don't touch me again.
Then I went to you see, he's got it wrong. History and clinical exam. Then I'll go to the finger and say, this is where it is. And he'll say, ow, that hurts.
Yeah, I did.
Well, he likes doing that. You ever notice that Dr. Pannozzo?
He likes to find a way.
He did it to my elbow.
Now listen, I sent my thumb to the Sorbonne for education, and when I came back, I could do that.
We got to make sure he never has arthritis, because then he can't use that finger again.
I know.
That's that. Hey, you know what? I'll tell you what's funny. I brought 3 people in with elbow problems. 3 people, okay, all of different sizes, and they all called me up and said, Les, when's this going to come back? I said, probably never. He said, this is amazing. I can tie my tie. I can play with the kids now.
Well,
and that's amazing.
I want to tell you a story about that has to do with Obamacare and the insurance. There's in-network and out-of-network. Why that is, I have no idea.
Still don't understand that.
If you're in network, they can browbeat you? Is that the doctor?
I never understood that either.
I don't know what that means. Some guy calls me up, and he wanted his elbow.
Right.
And I said, okay, can you straighten it out? He said, yeah, but it hurts. I said, well, that's a one-day treatment. I'll take care of it. He calls his insurance company. His insurance company says, I'm not in network.
I don't know what that means. Does that mean you're not on their list?
They're not going to pay for it.
Oh, I guess that's what it means then.
He's not allowed out-of-network doctors?
No, they're not allowed to go out of network.
Oh, so you have to stay in network.
You're a slave to the insurance company, even though you pay them, so you could be a slave to the insurance company.
You got to go to the
why let your insurance company tell you what to do on your own health? They're not in the business of that.
Those are the doctors that took less money to see more
We don't know
patients.
that that's true. I don't know that that's true.
I could put it. My uncle's in network is an in network doctor. They pay him a whole lot less.
Really? Yeah.
Because he's trying to make it up in volume.
Yeah.
Oh, you never do.
He says you never do.
No, you can't. No.
And if they can't pay the
co-pays,
the
trouble is insurance companies are very smart. They hire PhDs in mathematics to figure out what you can
actuaries.
They can get away with. And when you start dropping out, you find out they have nobody to treat their people, and then they go out of business. And that's what should happen. The doctors should drop out. Where are the people going to go anyway? There's no place for them to go.
Well, what happens is the young doctors coming out of medical school need a job will fill the void because they'd rather make $50 and make no money.
Yeah,
they got to pay those bills.
And they have to pay
I ran
that
into
education.
I ran into one of these, an orthopedic surgeon, who every time you put a claim into Cigna, he denies it. Who is this guy? He doesn't even do this kind of work.
Oh my
Yet
God,
they're denying the claim, and the people are saying, "Oh, what am I going to do? I can't pay this." They should pay it because it's legitimate. And these people they hire them just to deny claims.
So in other words, if someone has an insurance policy and you're at a network, they're not going to approve what you do to get that person better in one day.
It doesn't even have to be out of network. That's another issue. See, in network and out of network is another issue. This is what Obamacare has done to us. You're not going to get the care you want. You're going to see people having more surgeries, less quality of life, more narcotics, and it's just going to be a disaster.
Oh, and by the way, folks, Dr. Pannozzo does not give drugs.
Paul said one thing.
Paul is his son. I want everyone to know who that is.
Paul said one. He said it was just like in the 90s when they had managed care. It fell apart also, and this is going to fall apart too. We just got to live through the idiocy that's going on in Washington.
It's unbelievable how people have complained
Everyone complains. I have doctor friends too that complain about it.
But you know what it is? They're trying to swing the pendulum the other way. So all those people who didn't have insurance, who still can't afford to have insurance, they're gonna take the stipend and what have you.
Yeah.
It gives them an opportunity to get some kind of care. Not good care.
No, there's still 30 million without
Absolutely.
coverage.
Absolutely.
And they're not going to get coverage.
We
They
had
can't afford it.
before Obama got elected president. We had a good system, and they kept saying the health system is broken. These people were nuts. I was working in there. It was great. Everybody got taken care of. The bills were paid. Everything was great. Obama comes along. Everything's broken. We got to reform it. And people bought into that? No, they didn't.
But there are people that I know that are buying insurance today. They could have bought insurance back when. They said they couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now they're paying $400 a month, which from my understanding is going to at least double in January.
Not
What are
only
you gonna
that,
do
but
then?
the
You can't afford
deductibles
it?
go up. If you have to pay $5,000 out of your pocket before your insurance kicks in, and you still pay for that premium,
And what do
have
you
you
do?
gained? You
Yeah,
haven't gained
you
anything.
haven't gained anything.
You gained a decreased quality of care, and that's what's happening in this country. You're gonna
They
see
give you a patch, doctor says, I have insurance now. I can't use it, but I got it. So you earn a patch.
That's very
They give you a little something.
But here's the thing.
That's very
you know,
funny.
if you're smart, and the doctor should be smart, we'll work for cash. And in my office,
Don't knock yourself out, Doc.
in my office, I guarantee the result. If you pay for it, you're going to get that result, or else.
And if
You
you
see,
don't-
but you're jamming up the system, Doc. Because unfortunately, when they come to see you, they don't come back.
They don't come back.
So you go to a doctor. Let's say Les is a doctor,
Thank you,
and I go
Freddy.
to him. He takes less. Let's say Les says, I'm going to take cash for 50% less. It's 80% less. Okay, so I pay him 80% less. I can't afford my insurance, so we make a deal for the copay and the out of pocket. And then Les says, okay, you got to come back 25 times. So that 20% that I'm paying over the 25 times equates to the same money for him. It doesn't help me. So then you jam up the system because you come along.
And he fixes you in one day.
Fixes you in one day.
Well,
You don't go back.
Let me just say this: for anyone that has scoliosis, he can cure it, but he can't do that in one day. That's you know.
Well, that's a little difficult.
Yes, I mean,
especially in
I mean,
the
when,
older people.
when you could go, like you said, Fred, when you could avoid, when you could avoid surgery, that's worth a fortune to anybody, because I don't know anyone that's ever had surgery that has ever come back without taking a lot of medications and a lot of therapy. I mean,
Any
I've
kind of
seen them.
surgery, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, surgery is
Well,
a
I'm
tough
hoping
thing.
that people will come and see me for their knees and their hips and their feet and migraine and vertigo, headache, neck pain, and we'll take care of all that.
Turf toe.
And we do
Turf
it. Turf toe. I don't even know what that is. I'd like to see one. If there's one running around or not running around.
If you got turf toe, give us a call. We're
Probably
trying to
limping
figure out
around,
what that is.
come in.
800-889-0267. The turf toe. It's the monster on the big toe.
Is that the? Is I
It's
this
a
guy was
big toe
explaining-
injury.
Now, if
Tell me I'm
people
straight.
are wondering why this happens, why people are on the bench, you know, who's on the bench? You were talking about the Dolphins today.
Yeah, the Dolphins spent a lot of money to get one or two major players, but when the players that they have get hurt,
And this is this time of the season when a lot of players
and they're getting hurt now from getting banged around. Guess what? They have no players to come in that can fill that gap.
That's right. Concussion, hamstring, and turf toe, the leading three right now.
Right.
Yeah, well, ACLs.
And
it
throw an
doesn't
ACL. Yeah,
exist.
I mean,
all those diagnoses are treatable in 1 to 2 days. That's all. No therapy, no nothing. No whirlpool, ice, nothing. Just
yeah, that's
all
you
treatable.
were. I mean, you were a coach of a major football team. What is the concept of the? To this day, I can't understand why you'll see Peyton Manning sitting in this big thing of ice. What the heck
Ice
does ice
bath.
do?
Nothing. It drops your body temperature. It doesn't treat anything.
It numbs you. When I did ice baths, I couldn't feel my extremities for a couple of hours.
All your extremities, right?
Everything.
Oh,
Everything shrinks. And
Isn't that
you mean
kind
it
of-
was shrinkage?
Everything shrinks. Oh, you were in deep trouble.
But what happens is that the pain you had wherever you had it disappears because it's frozen. It's not. I guess there's no blood in it. I don't know what. Maybe all the blood runs to it. I have no idea what happens. But they're doing that now with
Cryogenics.
machines, cryogenics
And
all
someone
over
died.
the country. That's right. She died in California.
died there.
They go minus 20 degrees with liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
Okay, and Colorado is the only state now where somebody has to be, or a doctor has to be present when they use the machine.
She could
Only
die.
state in the country.
Really?
Everybody else, they leave you alone.
Well, they shouldn't even allow it. It's a scam. You cannot treat a source of pain by lowering your whole body temperature. You don't know what you're doing.
Because they don't know where the source of the pain is coming from.
That's exactly right. You don't do that.
The doctor said that the blood gushes into the muscle.
The doctor should be shot. Oh, excuse me.
Are we okay?
He rushes into the muscle. Well, I'm going to tell you, some famous basketball players are using this. And football players.
What's his name?
Yeah.
The guy who played for us?
LeBron James.
Yeah, LeBron James, yeah.
Dane Wade has
used why do these super expensive and obviously really good athletes do that kind of thing?
I got your answer.
Look at Tiger Woods. He was on top of the world, and he lets himself be operated 5 times for everything.
Well, Tiger has agreed not to play.
He's not playing anymore.
Did you hear? He says, I have another life.
Yeah.
Tiger makes more money off the golf course than he does on it now.
Not anymore. If he
him and his wife have come to
yes, I heard that.
To an agreement.
A mutual understanding.
That's
what it's called.
Because he's losing so much money.
Yeah.
But none of that, what they did was based on a scientific basis.
They killed. They ruined his career.
They ruined everything. Surgery should.
And Peyton Manning, all of a sudden, now his super duper operation is super duper not working. Now they say that he has what's that injury in the legs, Doc? The bottom, the platyfasciitis.
Platyfasciitis. It doesn't exist.
He has that.
He has that. He says he can't walk. Peyton Manning can't walk.
That doesn't exist.
Well, Doc, if you looked at him, he cries during the interview.
Ooh, there's nothing worse than that. What is that called?
We treat this every day. People walk in with that, and it's a one-shot deal.
Yeah.
They go out.
What is it, though? Is it what is it? Everyone complains.
It's not plantar fasciitis. That's a referral area. What it is up into the ankle.
I know.
Here's the symptoms of it. You get up in the morning, you're okay until you start walking.
Yep.
And all that pain comes in.
Right.
You sit down, pain goes away. You get up to walk, the pain comes back.
That's right.
This is a ligament.
And Doc, what happens when you get up and your feet sound like Captain Crunch?
Those are all ligaments. That's all.
You're stepping on cereal.
see, I actually treat this stuff.
Yeah. That's what's happening with my feet, Doc. I'm like walking, and all these noises come out.
Oh, you need a foot massage.
I need
Linda, you hear that?
Hey, how to do that? Have a cocktail with a foot massage. Little
and you know, it feels a lot better when you do that.
Yeah, that's right. It works.
You know, 4 or 5 glasses of wine makes all the pain go away. But in the morning it hurts.
I tell you, it sounds like Captain Crunch cereal in the morning when you walk.
We just had a. Did we talk about that article then?
Which one? I got it right here. Oh, the article?
This one.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we already did that. Okay.
Yes, we did that, Doc. What I want to tell everybody, when you get these letters in the mail for a massage to get rid of pain, massages do not get rid of pain. Even I know that. I used to go for massages all the time. You know what it does? It just relaxes me and makes me feel good. I go home, I have the same pain. Because these are people that know anything about the source of pain.
Why is that?
They don't know the source of where the pain is coming from.
That's right. They're massaging muscles, right?
It's the ability.
They're massaging muscles, right?
Yeah.
Muscles. Muscles don't hurt.
No.
That's why it doesn't work.
But you see, this is why the doc jams up the system. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what he's doing.
That's the problem. If there's no room here to go back, you don't go back. You go and you go one time. And you know, I was thinking about this the other day. You don't have any co-pays. You pay your bill, right? You don't come back. You don't have to submit it to insurance companies if you pay it for cash. You don't have to play that whole political game.
No, yeah.
Now, if it's a major deal that you gotta, like scoliosis, you gotta go back a few times because you gotta get all that out there.
Right.
Then I can see you have to submit it. But other than that, it's a doctor's visit.
You know what, Fred? For people that have migraine headaches and you get 2 shots, I guarantee you, it's less money than what you have spent in the past to get rid of something that doesn't work. I'm not going to even name the things. I don't want to give them credit for something that they didn't do. But I mean, I've seen. I mean, you know, it's very funny. I could sit here and talk about these things as you can, because I've actually seen these people.
You mean like the Botox?
Oh, you could say it.
And the commercials that they put on television. I know they stopped it because it doesn't work.
No. Well, they weren't. You know what they were getting sued from? Because one of the ladies that had it, she ended up in the hospital. The doctor hit the wrong nerve, and she couldn't open her mouth. Couldn't.
Well, that stopped a lot of pain.
Talking about plantar fasciitis.
Oh, that's that. Yeah, they have.
That's a new boot.
Yeah,
that's an expensive boot, and you never want to do that, especially at night.
Helps. It takes away movement.
Huh?
It takes away the movement of the leg, or it doesn't.
It causes scar tissue, and you don't want to do that. You want mobility is the key to success.
And scar tissue is instant, Doc. If you put an ace
Well,
bandage?
if you get if you get hurt, which is all these are injuries, and in 1 to 2 days, 3 days, it's going to solidify down, so you don't have the motion.
Right.
And that's where the pain is.
And that's what the body does, it solidifies.
Well, it has to stop motion because you have an injured ligament.
Right.
So it'll stop that motion so you don't pull on it. So when you wear this, you're adding into the problem. This.
Well, it's funny. I bought something 10 years ago from a catalog, and now I got 9,000 catalogs. One of them was the Harrington catalog. I was telling Doc, they must have 50 things in there for plantar fasciitis, a special lift that goes in your shoe to raise up the back heel. Then I was telling them they had this thing where you put a thing over your head, and you plug it in, and it's warmth, and it's like little fingers going up and down your head to get rid of migraines. I mean, they must have had 1,000 things, and they were expensive. Then they had something for $1,200. It's like a bamboo thing that goes it's about 6 feet long. You plug it in these little balls on the end, massage your body to get rid of pain. So we were talking about that on the way. He started laughing. We almost in a car, but he was laughing because those things. There's no source. How could you massage someone when you don't know where the pain is coming from?
Remember, people, if you're
come on.
If you're an accomplished physician, you know where the source is.
Right.
You can do it.
Well, then you just said something. Well, how come a lot of physicians don't know where the source is coming from?
Well, because they're not trained.
That's the key.
They don't have the training. Now, if you come out of school, you're very good in diabetes and heart disease and liver, but not musculoskeletal. Why? Because the orthopedic surgeons do not teach it.
Why is that?
I don't know what it is. It's because they want the referral. So you get out of school, and what's the first thing you do? Refer to the orthopedic surgeon, because that's all you know. So at least the physicians are being honest. That's all they know, and that's what they do.
Oh yeah, I mean you can't blame the orthopedic surgeons. That's the only thing they know what to do.
The orthopedic surgeons are good at operating, but not everything needs to be operated.
Well, we've given those statistics many times. How about 190? It's up to 196,000 operations go in this country.
This is we're not practicing voodoo science here. This is basic stuff. I mean,
well, for a lot of new people that are tuning in, you were a graduate of Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes! And you've been studying and researching on physics and how the body actually works.
Well, the
Ohio State. Here we go, folks. I was from the U. Okay.
Somebody asked me the other day, well, how come they call it the? I said, I don't know.
The Ohio, yeah.
Because there's only one of them, I guess.
The Greek goes like this. He's a graduate of the Ohio State University, and they ends up. I lost some money in that game, but yeah, Greek. Well, Greek talks about it. He was one of the guys that had the elbow thing.
Yeah, he did really well.
He, according to the Greek, he said I could use the roulette. I could use the one-arm bandage now better than I used to do before. I could pull it down with no more pain. So I'm looking at I still have time, right? I'm gonna read. I want to read a couple questions while I got time. How's this? I want to read this one from Marianne from Survey Monkey, who says, "Does flat feet cause pain at the back of the foot, which they want to treat me with cortisone? I was told that this was bad for my health, but can you remove the heel spur? That's plantar fasciitis. Is that basically the same thing?
Yeah, plantar fasciitis.
And you could do this in just one shot." One shot. Amazing.
That's amazing. Do you know how many basketball players have that disease, Doc? And they can't play. I mean, totally shut down. And it takes months to get the inflammation out of it. Months. You know how many games in basketball in a month?
Well, because they have orthopedic surgeons running the show, which do not do this kind of work. How many times I got to say that? They do surgery work.
Yeah, but we got to keep saying it until basketball players at that level can listen.
You know what? Okay, I'm not gonna say it again. We got an.
Would you send your Rolls Royce to a Chevy dealer?
No.
Or a mechanic on the street?
Well, first of all, I don't have a Rolls Royce. If I did, I'd send it to a Rolls Royce dealership.
Would you?
No.
No, of course not.
Yet they're taking their magnificent body, and they're giving it to a trainer who goes to a trade school, who doesn't have a diagnostic ability.
Right.
overseen by an orthopedic surgeon who doesn't do that kind of work. They do
Correct.
surgery work.
Correct.
This is why between seasons they're operating knees, shoulders, everything else. Doesn't have to be at all.
Well, what about if my parents had a doctor and I go to that doctor, and then my kids go to that doctor, and their kids go to the same doctor, and they treat the problem, since my parents, the same way, Doc? It isn't so much because
that's a good point.
I mean, your creative mind turns into, let me follow the pecking order. They went, my parents went, my kids say the same thing. They go, well, there's never been a Dr. Pannozzo in our stream of what we do.
And I never knew of a musculoskeletal specialist, but you know what?
I didn't know the hell that meant.
No, we didn't know what that meant until we met him.
There was two people. I got to tell you this story because this.
You got 2 minutes.
This is good for me.
Okay.
Two people left me to go to somebody else because they didn't know if I was right or not. Well, inside of 2 weeks they were back.
Yeah.
Why? Because I am right. Those people they went to had no clue. No, nothing.
And the people they went to didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
Yeah. And did you think they'd call up and ask? No. They don't.
They don't. Let me give out your number that they could call you direct.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Where's your phone? Did you leave your phone at the office?
No.
Talk it to the mic, Les.
Okay. 561-381-5800. So if you want to make an
What was that number?
561-381-5800. See if you remember. What is it, Freddie?
561-381-5800.
Now, Doc, let's see if you remember it.
561-381-5800.
Okay, I think we said it enough. So you know what? Pain to me is the worst thing to have. And you know what? If you're suffering from pain, you could go see your doctor and your orthopod, and before you go in for any surgery, do yourself a favor. It doesn't cost any money to see this man. He's very easy to get along with. He'll find the pain. He'll find the cause of the pain, the source of the pain, and you will walk out of that office going like Freddy did, running, jumping, and saying, thank you, Dr. Pannozzo. 561-381-5800.
It will cost you money if you don't go see him.
It'll cost you a lot more money than you think not seeing Dr. Pannozzo. Have a good weekend, and again, happy Hanukkah to all, and to all a good night.
This has been the Dr. Pannozzo Sports and Medicine Hour with Dr. Anthony Pannozzo. If you spend 5 minutes with Dr. Pannozzo, you'll see he genuinely enjoys helping others. Visit Dr. Pannozzo online at www.paincentersnationwide.com or call him at 561-381-5800. Dr. Pannozzo will consult with you to determine the best solution to your pain needs. 561-381-5800 is the number to call, even if it's just for a second opinion. Join Dr. Pannozzo next week when he brings you more important information.